today with a man who's on the front lines of many different things, from the House Intelligence Committee to the very important debate over the National Defense Authorization Act, which sets our policy and our authorizations for the United States military. He's one of the good friends of this show, one of the honest brokers in Washington. Joining us right now, Georgia Congressman Austin Scott. Congressman, always an honor to have you on.
Hey, John, thanks for having us, and glad to be here today.
It's an honor to have you here, sir. And I just want to step back, because you have been one of the most thoughtful people when it comes to the way our government has been hijacked. I know Jim Jordan and James Comer have a lot of work still to do, but there's enough body of evidence now from what we heard yesterday from John Durham, from what James Comer's already released, what Jim Jordan has released over several months. It is clear now that justice is no longer blind in this country, that there isn't an equal system, that who you are matters and how you're going to get treated by the Justice Department, the FBI, and the IRS. How concerning is it to you, and do you see any light at the end of this tunnel?
Yeah, well, you got Jim Jordan and Jamie Comer, and now you got Jason Smith on the Ways and Means Committee, right? The revelations today came through the Ways and Means Committee.
Yes, sir.
I would encourage the people that are watching it to have faith in those three men and their committees. We have only had the ability to investigate for 6 months. We've had a couple of hiccups in that 6 months with some things not related to the investigations, but give these three men and their committees some time. Give them some calendar days to do the job. I mean, this is not something where we're going to be able to build the case for people that are not necessarily lean towards believing the Bidens got their millions upon millions of dollars honestly to believe us. So give them the opportunity to build their case, and like what the leadership did this past week with the vote resolution, putting that in committee instead of asking for that vote now. That was the right thing to do. I think Kevin deserves credit for what he did there.
Yeah.
Let's give our people who now have subpoena powers the ability to build their case. And it's important for us as Republicans to work together to uncover the truth. And this shows, John, why you need honest people with the ability to investigate people in the other party. If we didn't have the House of Representatives, we would not know any of this stuff right now.
Yeah, such a great point. And by the way, in 6 months, really epic amount of work. I mean, there's like 4 years of investigation that's already been conducted in the first 6 months. The art of oversight has been revived, at least honest oversight, not the sort of oversight that Adam Schiff gave us and got censured for yesterday.
He's whining and crying, but he earned exactly what he got.
He sure
and let me tell you, the unfortunate part of it is his party's so crazy they might make him a U.S. senator for his belligerence and what he did, but he absolutely destroyed the credibility of the Intel Committee, which is one of the most important committees in Congress. It is imperative that committee operate in a bipartisan fashion in the best interest of the American citizens, and he simply hijacked it, for his own personal good.
Yeah, you are right, and the fact that you're on the House Intelligence Committee, I think, makes a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable. We have pros on the committee again trying to do the right type of work, which is do the Americans' people business. Now, I often describe you when you're not around. I say, hey, listen, I think Congressman Austin Scott, one of the most consequential people in Congress. He's doing so much. You had 31 amendments. I'm not making this up. 31 amendments adopted in the House Armed Services Committee when you're working on the markup of the fiscal 20-year NDAA. That is really remarkable. You really helped shape the policy here. Tell us some of the most important things that you brought to the table.
Yeah, well, number one, we've got great people working for us. I mean, Jim Dalbo, Jeremy, who's with the Air Force, who's right. Working here as a fellow with us. That gives us tremendous insight. He's a current A-10 pilot, so he's, when you have people they're currently working with you, that are actually carrying out missions, it helps staying in touch with your people at the Air Force bases back home and with people that are friends of yours that are in the Army, giving you the insight into what's going on helps. I will mention we had one amendment that we were not able to pass that we hope we get passed on the floor. It deals with health care and pharmacy benefit managers. And John, there are 3 pharmacy benefit managers that control 90% of the prescription drugs in the United States of America. That's too many. The federal government doesn't need to be doing business with those people. We need to be using smaller businesses and giving other people an opportunity at the government business. So we're going to work on that for our veterans going forward. But there's just a tremendous number of stuff in there. We have a Combat Readiness Center in Savannah, Georgia that's extremely important to us. We put in, there has been some discussion about closing that center. We put in prohibitions upon closing it. There's stuff that deals with everything from partnerships with our allies overseas to making sure that we have the weapon systems that we need going forward, John. Yeah. Just a tremendous number of work was done last night. The unfortunate thing with what happened, if you watch the debate, is there were hours upon hours upon hours on the diversity, equity, and inclusion approach to our military that has occurred under President Biden, and it's unfortunate what's happened with our DOD, and that they've become as political as they are. But we put a tremendous amount of language in there, stopping the diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff that is going on inside the DOD. And John, people need to actually read the language from the DEI and the CRT teaching handbooks, or whatever you want to call it, propaganda that they're actually using. And some of our members, Mike Waltz did a good job on this in actually reading what they were teaching. And it's extremely offensive. It has no business being taught in the military or in the school that our kids go to. And so there's a lot of stuff that hopefully we've stopped with those amendments that were put into the National Defense Authorization Act. Matt Gaetz did a tremendous job speaking out on these issues as well, and actually calling them out by reading literally what they are teaching people, yep, which is just absolutely false. Yeah, it's just absolutely false, John.
You called it propaganda, and a lot of people I've talked to would totally agree with you on that one. That's
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So some amendments are big, some are small, but we've got a problem with recruiting in the military. And it's coming from this DEI nonsense.
Doubt about it. I want to turn to one thing. John Durham was behind closed doors, House Intel. I know you can't talk about the classified testimony, but the big impression of what you learned about how much reform might be needed for the FISA law.
A lot. And the abuses all come from one agency, and that's the FBI. The other agencies that have the authorities, do a much better job with it. And so, the FBI can either come up with, some ideas that will work, that will stop the abuses, or, unfortunately, they're going to have extreme restrictions put on them. And these are extremely important issues for America's security, but they are not more important than the Constitution, and they are not more important than our right to privacy as American citizens.
Yeah, so well put. And the possibility of extreme restrictions is real if the FBI doesn't come up with something better, right?
Director Wray, I think finally understands that there's a very serious credibility problem with the FBI.
Well, you played a very big role in that over the last several months. I've known it. I've seen a lot of it behind closed doors, but you do great work there. Sir, well, last question. India, Prime Minister Modi here tonight. A lot of people said this was a rush state dinner, but this is a very important relationship with China. Got about 45 seconds left. Tell us what's important about tonight.
Yeah, 1.6 billion people, largest democracy in the world. You need to understand this. China is across the border in India today as we speak. So there are conflicts from time to time, armed conflicts between India and China right now. China is across their border. They are obviously an important strategic partner of ours. It would be nice to see corporate America shift much of their manufacturing from China into India. And again, we can get the wage rates we need out of India, and they're a country that, even in areas where they don't share our
So we're going to lose you just because we're about to hit a commercial break.